Hey everyone, this is Ryder from Skip. I hope you're doing well. It's Monday, August 3rd, and I have a very quick update for you on both the HEALS Act bill and some of the latest news that came out this morning on it, including actions that the White House is thinking about taking unilaterally. And I'm going to talk about the latest on the EIDL bill. Again, that's the $80 billion that's also being talked about and being pushed for to help small businesses directly. I'm going to talk about both these things. There is progress being made. Huge shout out to everyone over the weekend. There were thousands of you who supported our effort to write senators to support this bill, S4227. As I've mentioned in a few videos, there are 6 co-sponsors here. Our goal this week is to keep pushing for more co-sponsors, more senators to get on board, and we're continuing to write. We've sent over 3,000 emails in the past 36 hours, and we're frankly still catching up. It's been amazing. The small effort you're making is absolutely worth it, and we so appreciate it. And as always, we so appreciate you subscribing and supporting our channel. Before we dive into the latest on what the Trump administration is doing regarding the HEALS Act, I will just show you, here's the page again at helloskip.com/blog/80billion, where you can fill out a form with your name, email, and your address, so we can email your senators on your behalf. And we've included the latest videos on this page as well. A link to this in the description. Our team is writing senators because we want this bill to be pushed through. We want it to get support. And here's one important reason why this effort is so important. News outlets are starting to talk about this bill, and they're starting to explore more how critical this is for small businesses like you. Forget unemployment, forget stimulus checks. Those are all incredibly important. Businesses and sole proprietorships need these grant options and, of course, low interest loan options. And this is incredibly important for businesses to survive and thrive. So here's what Stacey Cowley wrote today in the New York Times. A great piece that talks about the EIDL program. Small businesses got emergency loans, but not what they expected. Again, this article reinforces everything that you know, that we know, and now the Times is picking up on it, and we hope that other outlets will see this, and senators will see this too, and frankly say, hold on, we do need to allocate this new funding for the SBA. The SBA's disaster relief program allows for loans of up to $2 million, but now they're capped at $150,000. Again, you know that, but she goes on to talk to small businesses in this article, and there's a few things I want to point out that are important. The demand has created a problem that is hobbling hundreds of thousands of applicants. The agency, the SBA, and the head of the SBA, Ms. Carranza, is afraid of running out of cash. That's what they've said. The question is that actually a fear that's legitimate? The agency is afraid of running out of cash, so they decided, again a few months ago now, to cap the loans at a fraction of what companies could normally borrow, even though the program has handed out less than the half of $360 billion that it can lend. So there's still a ton of money left in the SBA's pot, but because they were afraid of the demand, they capped the program. And she does a great job in this article giving a few examples of businesses who in particular had a problem with this new limit. The point is, many people needed way more than $150,000 to survive, and they didn't have that option. Since March, the SBA has lent out $164 billion in EIDL loans, more than twice what it previously distributed in its entire existence to 3 million companies. Okay, we did the math here, and the average is $54,000. That's the average amount that was lent to companies. Obviously, that average will be much higher if there wasn't a cap. Nearly $200 billion is currently unused. Okay, for those of you reading that, you're probably shocked to see that. If you were capped at $150,000 and now you're hearing that there's $200 billion in the EIDL program that's sitting there that could be put towards helping you survive, helping your friends' businesses survive. Here's another piece that is very interesting. So any business that wanted the grant was part of the applicant pool. So there were about 8 million applicants who applied for the advances, aka grants, up to $10,000. Well, originally it was a full $10,000, then they changed that. But what's not clear, and what she raises in this article, is if the SBA had a way of understanding who just wanted the grants, because there was no checkbox. At the end of that form, as many of you know, you had to select that you were interested in the advance. But there was no checkbox to say, I only want the advance and not the loan. And we've heard from hundreds of you, as a matter of fact, directly via helloskip.com and our trackers, that you didn't want a loan, you just wanted the grant. Since they're giving out $1,000, $2,000, up to $10,000, you'd rather take that, but you didn't want to take on loans and debt. So it's unclear how many actually only wanted the grants versus the loans. I mean, of all of our users, we've heard about 10% say they only want grants and not the loans. Again, it's unclear if the SBA factored that in when they were deciding on the new cap, because they were worried, quote, worried about running out of funding. She talks about the new bill that we've been talking about, which is awesome. The two senators, John Cornyn and Jackie Rosen, pushing for this, pushing for 4227. Like all of us, we're pushing for this as well, and writing senators. Here's what one business lamented. They received an offer in May for just $150,000. That's less than half of what he had anticipated. It was, quote, like a punch in the gut, he said. He spent many sleepless nights wondering how he would fill his projected $200,000 shortfall. That's nuts. And it's so unfair for all of these businesses like you and like your colleagues and friends that you had this limit when you were planning to get more. You had everything lined up, ready to go, and then the SBA said, we're worried about money, so we're going to put in a cap. And the other point is that the SBA, through all of this, has never publicly asked for more money. This is some of the criticism that came up 2 months ago, that if the SBA was concerned about money, then go ask for more money. It's frustrating that this has taken so long to really talk about this again, but we hope that finally this happens. Regardless of the timelines and the reopening in each state, every business in the country is facing these types of issues. They need low interest loans to survive the dip that they are in, so they can come out on the other side with their business intact and hopefully with their employees intact. And of course, the PPP round 2 looks like it's going to be passed. Now we just need to push for more EIDL funding. And here's the tracking on the SCIP dashboard. It's been incredible, as always, since beginning of April, to be tracking hundreds of thousands of you in your progress towards grants and loans. As you can see, nothing has changed substantially in terms of approval volume since the humps in early April, late April, and mid-May. Okay, we saw these humps, like the May one was related to when they reopened the funding, and then it's kind of been stagnant. And then I think beginning of July is when they said they're not going to do any more advanced funding, but there's still been a trickle of people reporting that they've received some grant money. As I mentioned before, what people have received is still only a fraction of the 10,000. So, just the people tracking on helloskip.com, if the new bill was passed, S4227, and everyone was eligible for 10,000 that got something before, that would be another $500 million just among the people on SCIP using our self-reporting tracker. That would be fantastic. I just want to point out quickly some of the data that the SBA is sharing. They're doing a pretty good job at sharing data. Again, it could be much better, but they do share the number of approvals and the dollars approved, both for the loans and the advances by state. So we see here that 3 million loans have been approved as of last Friday, or rather the 27th, so earlier in the week, beginning of last week, for $163 billion. That's an average loan amount of $54,000. And we took a look at each state to see if there was any key differences between average loan sizes. For example, Alabama, we calculated, was around $46,000 per business. California, $63,000 per business. Florida, $46,000. New York, $59,000. Texas, $55,000. So most are around the $50,000 range, more or less. California a bit higher. But the main point is that if there wasn't a cap, I would expect the average to be much higher, even over 100,000, because a lot of these businesses that got 150,000 were looking for 400,000, 500,000, a million. So the point is that these numbers would be significantly higher, and there's money still in the pot, so why aren't they using that? Again, it's so great to see some media pushing for this. Regardless of what happens between Democrats and Republicans and the Trump administration today and tomorrow, We want this bill to pass. As always, our goal is to keep you posted, to save you time, to give you the recap every day. Thank you so much for subscribing and supporting us. And if you haven't asked us to email your senator yet, take a look in the description. Here's the link as well. As always, stay well and stay healthy. Take care.